Good evening, I'm Giuseppe Basile, I'm the Instant Trader. You can find it at the website www.fibstalker.com. I also post regularly on Twitter using the @fibstalker nickname. Good evening, today is Wednesday, June the 4th, actually still Tuesday. It's 15 to midnight PM, time in Toronto. And in this video I'm going to review for you all the markets I follow. I added one market, that's the Euro versus the Canadian dollar, and I'm going to review today 12 markets. So let's start from the just want to set up the microphone, okay, and excuse me, I don't feel very well. So I'm going to start from the euro dollar, which is what you see on the screen. This is the daily chart, and we had this move lower. Now the dollar is actually waiting for the decision on Thursday. Some people speak about 0.10% discount rate, bid rate, minimum rate for the euro. And we're going to see how that is going to affect the market. Don't believe to people who tell you that you can trade the news. We don't know what is going to happen. This is not the time to be in the market. Be patient, and you will see that the euro dollar will offer as an opportunity. And this could be a continuation short from one of these anchors. The first one could be lows to lows here around 136.80, but it could also be the higher anchor that I mentioned in the previous review here. You will also notice that it was a good idea to exit around this 36.30 area. Actually, the market went to 36.70 as well, I believe. 36.49 is what the platform is giving to me at the moment. So be very careful in this market. There's no need to rush. Moving to the SP 500, this market is hovering around an important level. That's the level that I showed you on the weekly, in the weekly review as well, which is this all important 1916. If you want to understand why this level is important, I recommend you join the 3-hour event I'm going to have on fxtrade.com. It's going to be two and a half hours of webinar, and I'm going to explain why this level is very, very important for the SP 500. At the moment we are seeing some weakness. This is the new bar being formed today, Wednesday, June the 4th, and it's possible that this market is going to maybe have a little rest here, and there is the potential for this market to retrace maybe all the way into this 1904 before a continuation higher, or we don't know just yet. Moving to the dollar index, the dollar index of course has continued higher. You will remember a couple of weeks ago I traced these highs to highs here, an extension long, and I'm going to keep this extension long. You will remember that I traced after I saw this high, and after that I saw this test, and it was retested again and broke price into first target. We had some profit taking at the level, and there's a possibility for this market to get into the second target. That would be the 81 area, 80-90 area here, which would mean that we could still see some selling in the euro. The first set of market is closed by the gold, and you will remember that there was an area that we've been following for a month and a half here from lows to highs, and this was the 1286. This area acted as a support a number of times and then eventually broke last week, and so this market now is doomed to retest previous lows here, and that's what we're going to see. Just a matter of how we get there. Now if we consider this 1333, we can see that the market hit the first target here, so there is a remote possibility this market is going to pick up and retest the next measure move. If that happens, I want to see participation, and we'll probably see participation on the short side at the 1285. However, I don't believe that this market that is trying to get there, and I think if we get a retracement, is going to be a much shorter retracement, and I believe that program trading is going to use this anchor. So if we get price into 1261 and reversal, I'm going to look for price to continue lower into 1228 here, and then eventually into this area, going from 1206 to 1211. Moving to the Japanese majors, starting from the US dollars to Japanese yen. You will remember that I mentioned the continued support in this market, and we got actually participation. You know very well from this trace. This is not the exact trace. The trace I've been using was the previous 50% level of the measure move that completed, and we saw participation at this 101, 60, 50 a number of times here. And last week there was a nice ambush trade here that traded a 50% retracement, and we could use the fib stalking technique to catch that level, and as you can see, price was brought into the first target 102.44 and is now moving into the second target 102.94. If we get there, we're going to see a retracement, and we're going to use a new trace from highs to highs here into 102.54. Moving to the pound versus the Japanese yen. You will remember that I mentioned that we could see we could see in this market a bounce higher, and the reason for that is this market actually it's moving laterally here, and actually, as you can see, it confirmed shorts here when we broke. And last week we have been trading a measure move short here, and price never got into this level here. So I was looking for a retest 168.75, one of the behavior, but this market is actually in a lateral move, and it keeps doing its things, and we have supported this 168, and the market, if we consider only the last basically the last 2 months here, we can see that so in the smaller time frame we can see that this market broke longs here when we trace, as I showed you before, from lows to highs, broke longs here with price going below 169.82, and then after that it broke shorts as well. And we know that within this smaller time frame, for our chart now, we are in a lateral move. So we are in a lateral move on the daily chart and for our chart. So a reversal typically, which can be caught using the fib stalking technique, can actually lead to a new move higher, and that's what's happening here. The euro versus the Canadian dollar, it's a new market I'm following, and I reviewed that for you guys copy 1 week ago, and so in that video I mentioned this area of resistance, the 153, 152.90 area here, which brought price into 148. 148.65. So we can make the case here that this market is coming to the extension here, and this extension is trading at the moment. So if we get weakness and a break of the sequence of measure move higher here, this is a new entry short into first target and potentially second target here, this 145. 54 here, 60 area. However, there is a possibility for this market to retracing into the next measure move short, and we don't have to guess, because the market is going to tell us when the sequence of measure move on the 15 minutes fails, where the market is going to stop. The pound versus the US dollar, you know that this market is actually has the potential to move all the way into 159 area, and the reason for that is that the sequence of measure move higher in the weekly time frame has failed. So that's my expectation at the moment. There may be a level of support which is very close, and this could come at this lows to high here. We are not yet there, and this market is actually at the moment trading a traditional short, and with a participation around 167.90 area, which is going to bring price lower here. The Australian dollar versus the US dollar, you will remember that last week I mentioned this traditional move here, and you also know that since I saw the break on at the beginning of April, I mentioned the fact that this market was going to correct into 0.9060, so that's where we're going to see this market. Last week I mentioned the measure move from lows to highs, and we saw a reversal with a violation of the 4-hour of the measure move in the 4-hour chart, as I mentioned that, so you can review that, and should have a short position here which is still working and still valid. This market could move laterally for some time here, but there is a short in play, but on the larger daily and weekly and on the 4-hour chart here. So I'm anticipating this market to continue lower, and as you can see, the next target here, it's 91.61 and then 0.9084, and eventually getting into that area of that initial area of support, and this area of support is from lows to highs here on the larger time frame. The US dollar versus the Canadian dollar is now retracing, and this market is in a weekly short in my belief, and we saw a measure move that never touched the first target here. So the next level of resistance is again this 101.16, with the potential for this market to go and now retrace and all the way halfway back. If that's the case, the level to watch is a little bit higher, 110.47, and that's where we could see a reversal, and in which case I'm going to study the sequence of measure move higher here. If we get that a reverse, there's a possibility for this market to resume the move lower. And finally, the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar, which you see on the screen is the daily chart, and congratulations to those who you took my advice here. We knew that after the violation of the sequence of measure move higher, this market was meant to go to retest the 084, and the reason for that is program trading was not interested in picking this price level before this level. Now this level is the next measure move, a sequence of measure, a larger sequence of measure moves. So it's a very important level. And how are we going to test it? Of course, we're going to use the fib stalking technique. I'm going to give you some precise level here. The more aggressive trace that I'm going to give you comes from this measure move, and the next sequence, measure move in the sequence is from lows to new lows we saw here. So to me, if and when this market breaks above 084.77, that would be the confirmation of this area of support, the 084.15. So that's the level to watch, and thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching this video. I wish you a very good evening, and I wish a very good continuation of your trading week, and a very good day tomorrow. Thank you for sticking around and watching the video. Bye bye now.